tries the left side to the 5. To the end zone for the touchdown.
Allen, he's going to run it. Can he get it there? He can.
Second down and 13. Allen going deep. He's got him. Touchdown. John Brown. What a catch.
And he tosses that one up towards the press box.
Buffalo Bills. Shut up!
What is going on, everybody, man? It's been a minute. It's been a long minute, man. I got my guys with me though in the building. I got my man Greg Sports Bully with me.
What's going on, man? Glad to be back in the saddle here.
That's it. As you guys know, James Mallory, we like to call it NFL pedigree. What's going on, James?
What's up? We back at it. What's up, everybody?
Hey, it's been so long that we got some catching up to do. You know, it's like having that girlfriend. You break up with her, and then all of a sudden you run into her at the mall like 5 years later, and y'all exchange numbers because you're both single. You should be single if you're changing numbers, but we're going to do the right thing. You're both single, and you got some catching up to do. We got some catching up to do here tonight, Bills Mafia, and we got things we got to talk about. I mean, we think that now the Bills have made some moves. Offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, retaining people, everybody taking pay cuts, saying that they want to come back and play in Buffalo. Talking Super Bowl. I mean, we're really talking. We talking Super Bowl in Buffalo, right? Allen Iverson's once said, we talking practice? We talking Super Bowl in Buffalo right now. And we got a very interesting signing day and Efe Obada. And if you guys have not seen this young man's story, crazy story. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. David Steinmetz, what's up, man? What's going on? Had to have you back. So, how you guys feeling so far about the offseason, James? How you feel about the Bills offseason so far? What kind of grade you giving them?
Right now, I'm going to give them a solid B. I like what they're doing so far. You know, no splash signings. Even Emmanuel Sanders, I wouldn't consider that a splash signing.
Okay.
You know, some, low risk, high reward signings, and I'm all for it, man. You know, I'm very intrigued to see what this new guy what he gonna bring to the table. I mean, like he can mix it up a little bit on that defensive line. I mean, they had to play a little 3 technique. They had him lined up at defensive end.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, he might be one of those Swiss Army knives that you like to have on that D line. You know, if you're gonna dress 8 defensive linemen, he a 2-for-1 type of guy. He can give you a little bit outside, a little bit inside. Then we got the tight end Hollister.
Okay.
Man, I think that dude may be able to break out. People sleeping on him. They're sleeping on him. I think he might be able to give us something. I'm not saying he's going to come out here and be an all-pro. Unless I get carried away, some people would take it as I'm saying that. But I think he can come in here and be a very productive player in our offense.
All right. Greg, how you feeling, man?
I mean, I would agree with the grade. A B is a pretty solid. And when you bring back, pretty much every offensive starter, every defensive starter from, the AFC East Championship team, it's hard to knock that. Like James said, we didn't make any major splashy plays, signings. We didn't get the Watt thing done. We didn't get the Ertz thing done. So there was no big headlines to be made. But if you really go back and look at, signing by signing, Beane did a very solid job. He didn't overpay for anybody. And I think we're all, we had this show earlier, during the season where we were saying Matt Milano, time is done in Buffalo. He's not coming back. Let's move on. And Matt Milano's back. And we didn't break the bank. We didn't, hit that 14 million number we were talking about earlier. And we got Darrell Williams, who I think we all agree was our number one priority. So it's hard to complain and nitpick about what Beane did. I think he could have improved in a couple areas. I think there's some players that he could have made an effort for, or he pulled the trigger on too quick. But a B right now, when you bring back every starter, offense and defense to a team and not overpay for anybody, and in some cases, we got people to give back money to stay here. So I think that's great, man. I think we're on the track to really talk about a Super Bowl.
I mean, really, when you start talking about people taking pay cuts and taking a lot of money we spend, I mean, let's be realistic about it. We spent $9 million on Matt Milano. We spent $1 million on Mckenzie. We spent about $7 million on Darrell Williams. We spent about 35 million to bring our own guys back. And these guys were starters, including Levi Wallace.
Yeah.
You know, you when you start be able to do that, that's great. You know what I mean? The Chiefs weren't able to bring people back at those low prices. Hell, Tyreek Hill just came out yesterday. He refused to restructure. He said, quote unquote, when I signed my deal. So, you know, it's a blessing in the sky. But we have things we got to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is Efe Obada, Efe Obada today. This is a very interesting signing, young man that we got from Carolina, and obviously the first thing that came to the wire today, I was probably like most people, and I said, "Oh God, here we go, another Carolina connection. We just can't get away from it, no matter how far we get." But then as I started doing the research on this young man, this kid has a hell of fine athleticism. He could be a big time player. I don't know. He had 5.5 sacks last year, which would, like as David Steinman said earlier in the chat, would have led all Bills defensive linemen this year. So James, what do you think about Efe, man? I know you talked about him just a little bit. What you got?
I like it. You know, it's like I said, a low risk, high reward signing. I just think now isn't the time to go out there and kind of throw money to try to fix that pass rush issue. I don't think that's the answer. I think you kind of go what you got, kind of take those low risk signings and see if somebody can come up and rise to the occasion. I mean, because if you're going to get a premier pass rusher, there's not many of those in the league at all. And if they are, they're not going to let them go, point blank period. And if they do let them go, you're paying a ridiculous price tag on them. It's the reason why Houston let J.J. Watt go. Not saying he's a bad player, but he's not that dude anymore. He's not a good player. I think just throwing money at people base. These signings like this and
normal NFL player will be coming into the league with those amount of years on and I say mileage on the tires. If you reminds me of another guy that the Bills actually went after twice, and James, I want you to touch on this. Ezekiel Ansa is a guy that it seemed that Beane and McDermott were enamored with the last couple years of trying to bring him to Buffalo, and maybe this is why the Obada signing it happened, And again, I think he also played under Eric Washington, the Bills D-line coach in Carolina. So,
yeah, I mean Eric Washington. From what I'm reading, the reports I'm reading, they say he was pushing for him, and I believe, there was 3 other teams interested in his services. So he picked the Bills over 3 other teams. So Eric Washington knows what he's getting with this young man. So I know with him coming in, they have a plan for him. And that plan is probably what I'm thinking is probably to be what we thought we was getting at Quentin Jefferson, somebody that could play on the outside and somebody who can move into the 3-tech on passing downs. So I think that's probably what we're going to be seeing out of him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him moving around like that at all. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people think he's probably going to be primarily a defensive end. He's probably going to be moving around. That's what I'm thinking. So once, like you said, JT, I never thought we would go pass rusher the first 2 or 3 rounds. I think we're just going to go ballers, point blank period. You got to draft ballers. You can't worry about position. Draft ballers. And I think just looking at the draft, I mean, it is some talented defensive ends, but I just didn't think the Bills would pull the trigger. And with this move right here, and I think they got one more move left, and a veteran left in them on that D line. I just think we might have something in him. I mean, it's worth taking a look at. Trust and believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I eat and sleep and drink the draft, and I've been trying to analyze, what direction the Bills are going to look to do. And it almost changes with the hour. It seems like this is where we're going to go, and then we go out and make this move. And I said, all right, well, reconfigure. All right, we're going to go out and make this move. And then that changed everything. So it's probably going to be extremely difficult to pinpoint what we're going to do. But in all honesty, it's a great position to be in. We're not sitting here at the table saying we got to get an offensive tackle. We have to get one or we're screwed. Or, like years past where we need a quarterback, we don't have any real pressing needs. We're running it back with everybody right now. So regardless who's the best player available, if it happens to be, and we went back and forth. We hated the notion of bringing in a running back at 30. I think we're all starting to warm up to that it's almost like, well, okay. I don't think I would be really angry if we took the best player available and it happened to be a running back or it happened to be a receiver or it happened to be a pass rusher, because I think we're solid across the board. So if we can go and add something that makes sense and that's the best player, then so be it. Pull the trigger. Nothing surprises me anymore with this team and how we're building it.
And speaking of running back, I mean, it's setting the stage for a running back or a receiver. And I'm still under the impression that we're not set at receiver either, because when you start looking at the ages and the contracts, you may want to get somebody in there now as Gabe Davis goes to second year development, because I don't think you want to get down to the line where, Emmanuel Sanders gone, Cole Beasley gone. Now we're going to bring in a rookie and be like Sammy Watkins was and be like, hey, we need you to step up. We need you to step up right now. Like J.G. Jentworth, we need our money. We need our money now. We don't want to set ourselves up to be in that manner, I don't think. So I think receiver wouldn't be far-fetched either. But there's one running back on the board that a lot of Bills fans are talking about. And that's our guy, Travis Etienne from Clemson. And I know how James feels about this guy. I know how I kind of feel about drafting a running back early. I've been swayed back and forth. The more I have talked to James on the phone, I have been swayed officially into jumping on the Travis Etienne train. And James, bring us into what we feel about Travis Etienne. And I think too, before moving on, I want to do something a little different tonight. I think if you guys are watching this show and maybe you want to come in towards the end of the show, sometime in the middle of the show, and we give you the link, maybe we'll let people come on and ask live questions to give their opinion. Maybe we'll try something a little different. Maybe we'll see how that works, Maybe we try to keep it PG, but, It's how that works. What's your chat? If you guys interested, just put interested in the chat, and I'll put the link out there, and we'll try to get some of you guys on tonight for a question or even opinion if you have it, and see what you got. We're trying to get the viewers involved. But James, what you got on ETN, man? How do you feel? What do you think he'll bring to this team if he's on the board at all?
If he's on the board, you can't pass on him. The one thing that a lot of fans they get in their emotions a lot, and they start getting caught up in positions. The main thing when you pick it in the first round is just don't miss. You don't want to miss, and you want to get ballers. And it's just that simple. If you ever watch that dude play, he's what you call a baller. You could throw the ball to him out the backfield. You can hand him the ball. He reminds me of like Alvin Kamara. There wasn't a lot of hype with Alvin Kamara coming out of college. Because you got to have a unique offensive coordinator to be able to use him and really maximize his skill set. And I think Brian Dable can do that. And he's something that we don't have. We don't have a blazer. All our running backs can catch out the backfield, but they're not a real threat to do much after the catch. Where you get the ball to Etienne, he's a weapon. So you got a quarterback like Josh Allen, somebody we've been waiting. The Bills fans been waiting for since 1997. Now we got our guy. You would be a fool not to surround that guy with nothing but pure weapons. And if you think about this 4-receiver set right here, you go Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis. You got Travis Etienne coming out the backfield. Dude, come on, man. That's what you want. You want weapons. You can't get caught up in, we need this, we need that. I think we can win running the ball with Singletary and Moss. No question in my mind. No question in my mind we can win with them running the ball. But when you got a weapon like that may be on the board at pick 30, you got to take them. Point blank period. If you don't take them, you a damn fool. You need weapons. And he's not, you can't look at the position. The man is a weapon. Look at Alvin Kamara and what he does for the Saints. He's a weapon. And you got to take him. And I would trade Devin Singletary. Once they draft him, if that was to happen, I would look to trade Devin Singletary that very next day.
Correct.
Hey, I've always said all along, drafting a running back is a luxury draft. That's something where you look around and you say, hey, we're pretty complete everywhere else. Let's go and just upgrade. And I think we're actually in that position now where if we were talking, a month ago, I would pound the table. I hated that notion of getting a running back. But we're pretty complete right now. I'm not saying we can't upgrade the cornerback position or we don't need, an interior offensive lineman. I think those are our biggest needs, but they're not holes. So Travis Etienne is a complete running back. He's my number 2 rated running back in this draft. I love the kid. Like James said, he is completely versatile. He can catch out the backfield. The guy is actually an accomplished returner. He's a great runner. He's got breakaway speed, and that's something that this running back class that we have, our group, I'm sorry, doesn't really have. We don't have any breakaway speed there. So I like the kid. I think if we had him on the board at 30, I would consider taking him. But there's so many variables in there. It depends on what else is there. If I'm looking at, Elijah Vera Tucker and Travis Etienne, I think Vera Tucker serves a greater need, a more important need of solidifying the interior of this offensive line than bringing in a luxury running back who's probably better than the two we have. But if we bring in a Vera Tucker, I think now the two running backs that we have are going to benefit from that, and we're going to have very good running game. So to me, there's so many variables to dissect here of who I would take and why I would take him, when I would take him. But if all things considered, if we took Travis Etienne, I wouldn't be angry about it. Where a month ago, I would have been disgusted by it. So it's crazy how this thing evolves and how the offseason moves so fast and feelings change and needs change. We're actually in a position to take best player available. And that's, literally the best player available. And that's a great position to be in.
Right. It's funny, as my man Anthony Farrell, if you guys know my guy Anthony, he's a very knowledgeable Bills fan, keeps me on toes. He's messaging me now saying Etienne is the second coming of Thurman Thomas. And you know what I find so funny about the Thurman Thomas comparisons is Thurman was before his time. I think if Thurman Thomas played in this era, for one, of fantasy football, and I don't like to talk about fantasy football, Thurman Thomas would be the first pick in every draft in fantasy football because of how many numbers he put up. As I talked to you more about this, Greg, and James, and I talked to Greg about it too, but mostly James. The more I thought about it, Etienne is the type of player where we've seen games with Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara both, and even a guy like Austin Eckler, where their offensive line is not blocking, they're not getting rushing yards. They may have 12 carries for 28 yards, but they'll have 9 catches for like 90 yards in a TD. So what it does is it eliminates the fact that you can't take them out of the game no matter what you do. You can't take them out the game plan. They're going to get the ball, and as you mentioned, Greg, he's an accomplished returner. You're going to have somebody return kicks this year without Andre Roberts being there. Now, do you want Etienne returning kicks? Probably not, but guess what? If you have Devin Singletary and Zach Moss still in this roster, he gives you the luxury of being able to do that if you need him to. We did it with C.J. Spiller his first year. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of probably have some type of PTSD from Buddy Nix's water bug 9th overall pick of C.J. Spiller, which, mind you, to this day, I was never really against because of the situation Marshawn Lynch was in. He was in a legal situation where he got in trouble one more time. He was pretty much gone for the year. If this was C.J. Spiller, and I think we're in this spot, if this was C.J. Spiller and the Bills had a chance to take him with this particular team at this spot, with the running backs they have, it's almost similar. I would have taken him with this team. Because like you said, it's the home run hitter that we're missing. And I still think we need speed in the receiving core too. But there's a lot of people against taking a running back in the first round. But I think as James talked about earlier, that pick is at pick number 30. That's damn near in the second round pretty much. If he's there. Because he may not be.
Yeah. People are irking me with just position. You cannot get caught up in that, man. You can't. Because if you still get in the position where you're drafting, okay, we need this position. That's when you start getting bust and you start reaching for people. You cannot do that. You can't. If that dude last year, Greg, listen, you're a draft dude. Last year he was projected to go top 15 if he'd have came out.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No,
he
right on.
went top 15. And why he came back to school is he wanted to win a national championship and he wanted to bulk up. He gained 17 pounds, and he still ran in the 4.4s. And that dude is a weapon. Think about it right now. Our running back, when this a pass, they play over top, they lead them free underneath. If Zach Moss or Devin Singletary catch the ball underneath, you can sit on it. It's going to be 5 to 7 yards. Cool. You do that with Travis Etienne, watch what happens. He's going to take it and he's going to turn it into 50 on you. Our running backs, they don't have that ability. Not saying they're not bad. They're just not playmakers like him. You have to game plan totally different when you have a weapon like that in the backfield. And we just don't have that right now. You cannot pass that up. You can't.
I agree with you. Like I said, I'm not against Etienne or a running back. in the first round. I mean, I said it's not we're picking in the top 10. We're picking at 30. So I think there's a big difference in a difference of 20 picks makes a difference of the need. And we're not in a position right now where that first round draft pick has to hit. We have to play him. He's got to be on the field right now. Otherwise, it's a loss. We're not in that position right now. So if we took a running back, Travis Etienne is not going to get 40 carries a game and be the savior of our offense. So we're not in that position where we have to have him be the bell cow and carry the ball 100 times. But we could use him in a diverse bunch of ways to get the ball in his hands. And like I said, even there, he's still not going to carry the ball 25 times a game. We have too many weapons to dedicate 25 touches to Travis Etienne a game. I said we can, checking down on him, get him some passes, but a design plays for him 25 touches, that's a lot. So I think there's a multitude of the talent on this offense, and we can still add to it. I'm not against Etienne at all. I have to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? Who else is on the board? Who else is waiting there? That would make me feel one way or the other about it. If we passed up on one of the cornerbacks fell to us and it was Travis Etienne over that cornerback, I would say the value wasn't there for Etienne. Where that was, a more pressing need that we passed up on, or like I said, one of the interior offensive linemen dropped to us that the value was there. But if all things are level, Travis Etienne makes sense now on this team. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am.
I couldn't believe it either. Like I said, James made a believer. Like if this happens, James is officially over the Travis Etienne Bills fan club. Straight up, because he's been pushing for this dude like all year and a running back all year. Don't forget, guys, I put the link in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm going to put it back in the chat again. If you want to come on air with us really quick and ask a question or give your opinion on something we're talking about, feel free, and we'll get you in the chat. Please just keep it PG-13. Last year I did this one time, and the guy was cursing. We have children and babies out there. It's quarantine. A lot of guys are kids are remote learning. They ain't going to bed, so you got to keep it PG. But no, I agree. I know our guy Dan Gambino from Coles asked this question. He says, "What's a bigger need, linebacker or offensive guard?" Now, this is a pretty good question because I feel like the Bills brass think that we're solid at both. But guard is very interesting. Guard is very interesting. Greg, I'm going to come to you on this one first. Greg, offensive line or guard or linebacker bigger need?
I think without a doubt, guard is our biggest need. We have Milano back, we have Klein back, we have obviously Edmonds, and even though I think there's some issues in their play, I think if you go across the board, and we have Bodiger and Cody Ford and John Feliciano returning, but the interior of our offensive line last year was a headache for us. We struggled to run the ball well, and even though Josh Allen escaped a lot of pressure, we let up a lot of pressure through the interior of that offensive line. So I think hands down, guard is the biggest need for us, but the issue there is there's not a lot of guards in this draft. There's a lot of tackles who will be converted to guard. But just like Cody Ford, I don't want another Cody Ford. I don't want to go through another growing pain of bringing a tackle in who's probably not suited to play out on tackle and bump him into guard and go through the growing pains developing as a guard. So first round, there's really only Elijah Vera Tucker who's a bona fide offensive guard who could help this team day one. I think if we drafted him at 30, Vera Tucker is our day one starter. I think he's that good. I think he's actually technically proficient. He's awesome. I love the kid. And I think if we drafted him, he's a day one starter. So I think if you're talking about the draft, what we need and what's a bigger need, I think it's easier to draft a linebacker in this draft in 30 than it is to draft a guard in this draft at 30. But guard's our biggest need, hands down.
What do you got, Jane?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to totally agree with Greg on that one. I think guard is definitely a bigger need. I'm giving the offensive line interior somewhat of a pass for last year. I look at it as a mistake, let's say that. In regards to, I think Cody Ford is actually gonna be a player for us. But we were the walking wounded in there. Feliciano tore that pec, so realistically, he probably at best played at 70% last year. That's at best. I'm willing to bet he couldn't bench 225 pounds last year. I just can't just imagine a torn pec coming back. That was crazy. Obviously, Cody Ford got injured. And then we had Brian Winters. I think that was kind of a clown show. So let's see what happens once we give them a full offseason, see what they look like healthy. But, Greg is the draft guy, But if we had to pick between a linebacker and a guard, I think no question is we taking a guard before a linebacker. Especially with the money we put in the linebacker position, I think. And then we have Dotson, who I think he can play. And then, obviously we got Milano and Edmonds, the big hitters. We got Dotson. I think he's a underrated baller. When he played, he played. And then A.J. Klein is obviously serviceable. And then Mckenzie, he's not going anywhere. With being a special teams ace he is, and then taking a 1-year contract extension. So I think guard is the position.
And one of the things too about I have to agree. I think offensive line is the bigger need, but I think they're gonna value linebacker more. They have something. They have this affinity with Kobe Ford, and I'm not saying he's gonna be bad. I'm not saying he's gonna be good. I'm just saying, and that's kind of the problem. I can't say one way or the other. And with a second round pick, I should be pretty confident going into his third season, and I'm not. And part of that may be because they played musical chairs with him at right tackle his first year, which we all knew was a complete waste of time. It wasn't a damn tackle. We all knew that. And they wasted a year somehow trying to convert this dude into a tackle when we knew he wasn't. I think that you can go guard in the middle rounds if you really wanted to for some depth. Because if he's not, then you got a younger guy to replace him. We all know the story of Wyatt Teller and how we didn't give him a chance. We threw him in the doghouse, gave him away. Now he's turned into an all-pro player. That sucks. That really does suck when you really think about it. It's especially his age. It's awful. And you have Ike Bodiger and we have Feliciano that's going to play guard. So I guess I'm with James on it. I think the Bills are banking on the fact that these guys both had major surgeries last offseason. They had no time to really rehab. There was no way to rehab or train in this type of pandemic like it was this time last year. There was no chance of it. So if you went to offseason surgery, there's no way you got the full strength to probably end the season if you ever got there. So I'm gonna say linebacker is probably what they're gonna focus on, just because there's an interesting tidbit in AJ Klein's contract. If they cut AJ Klein, and mind you, his cap hit $6 million this year. If they cut him, you pretty much lose about half of that in penalty, or 3 in penalty. If you find a trade partner for AJ Klein, hell, I'm sorry, if you found a trade partner for Lee Smith, you can find a trade partner for AJ Klein. Right. If you trade him, you save $5 million against the cap in 1 million dead. I looked that up the other day. But it has to be done before June 1st. After June 1st, it becomes more money.
Get Atlanta on the phone. They're buyers right now. So
I think you got to keep AJ Klein for at least 1 more year for the insurance. Matt Milano, he has a history. I think you just can't afford to get rid of AJ. Not this year. I just think you got to stick with him. That's just my opinion. I think you got to stick with him, unless if one of these linebackers fall. You never know. If it's a baller, what's the guy name from Tulsa, Greg?
Zaven Collins.
That's his guy.
Zaven Collins. My brother played against him when they played against Toledo. My brother was at Toledo. He played against them. So, hey, somebody like that fall, man. They could play a Lorenzo Alexander role. I would not be mad. I would not be mad.
And that's what you're saying. What we've been hitting all along is that we're in a position to do that stuff right now. We're in a position to grab a linebacker in the first round that we say, hey, you can be a versatile player right now. You don't have to step right into being every down player. You could be rotational, and you could be the backup. And when AJ Klein goes next year, or if there's a trade this year, we have the coverage linebacker and the box linebacker. Kind of what we have right now with AJ Klein and Milano, but a better version of AJ Klein. So, and the possibilities are endless in this draft. And I think that's what's so intriguing right now is that we can literally almost go in every direction and it would make sense.
Well, I have a theory too about offensive line and guard. This is my theory. If the Bills take a guard early, I think this is the game plan. And I do believe that Brandon Beane, when it comes to salary cap space, plans a year ahead. I do believe that because some of these moves are just too easily forecasted. It's like you knew you were going to do that in the beginning. If the Bills draft, let's say we have somebody in the comment that says Wyatt Davis, maybe round 1, maybe round 2 type of deal. if you took someone like him, just for instance, or Trey Smith, the guy says,
Yes.
I think the plan is to kick Feliciano into center for 2022, move on from Mitch Morris via trade or release whatever, save the $9 million you're going to save, and that guy is now playing guard if Cody Ford is comparable. If Cody Ford is not comparable, then you're going to relook. You're probably still going to make the same move, and you're going to look to replace Cody Ford in the next draft again or free agency.
I mean, that's a lot of moving parts for sure. I mean, and obviously when you're a GM and that's your job is to, think 3, 4, 5 moves ahead and plan for that. And it's hard to kind of comprehend and look and say, all right, we're going to bring in a guy, we're going to make this move, and we're going to make that move, because there's so many different things that could happen, injuries, different guys could step up and play great. But, I think if you don't get a guard in the first round, if like the Landon Dickerson or the Elijah Vera Tucker don't come at 30, there's a pretty steep drop off after that. You might, you could look at a Trey Smith in the second, but I think maybe into the third, we don't have a fourth, but the fifth round where we would look to realistically grab a guard that we would have hopes of playing for us. But it's so intriguing, and any which way you cut it up and any way you look at it, we could talk literally about every position and who we could draft, and there's a possibility it would make sense. We're talking about a running back at 30 now. You know what I'm saying? And we could talk. You could throw any position out there, and I would say, that makes sense. We can go out and get another safety. It makes sense.
Well, my personal opinion is, I think with the third linebacking spot, that should be more of a pass rusher. I think James talked about earlier about replacing that Lorenzo Alexander role, for real. I think you can find that probably in the second round, maybe in the third. The biggest thing is none of us had Matt Milano coming back, and now he's back. So that changes everything. The more I look at what the Kansas City Chiefs did this year too, where they ran the 4-2-5 and bringing Sorensen up, I think that's what the Bills need to be looking for. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a safety go in the second round or bring some type of safety in to play that Drew Sorensen type of role, but maybe a little bit more athletic, a little bit better. And James, what do you feel about trying to make a move like that, to run a defense of that kind of caliber?
I'm not against it. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan for it, but I'm open to it. I just think, you just want to put ballers on the field. That's exactly what like I said before, I can't harp on that enough. But I'm bigger. I would rather have them replace the Lorenzo Alexander role. That was a huge, huge missing piece last year. We seen how valuable he was. Greg, I'm gonna give you some research. I'm gonna give you one of my guys I got. That's coming out. He's gonna be a sleeper, late round pick or under. Nope, not Isaiah McDuffie.
Okay.
You another.
I was trying to call you out there. I was already doing my homework. What do you got for me?
Nope. He's gonna be a seventh round guy, probably undrafted free agent. He started out at Clemson, went to did 1 year at Maryland. His name is Shaq Smith. Look up the name. He went to Clemson.
All right.
Got 2 national championships with Clemson. He was the number 1 linebacker in the country coming out of high school, out of Baltimore, Maryland. Went to St. Francis High School at IMG Academy. Played at Clemson. Underachieved a little bit there. Then he transferred to Maryland, back to his hometown. Set out due to COVID this past season. He ran a 4.65 at his pro day. He weighed in at 250, 6'3", 250. That's the guy that the Bills go. That's those type of guys, and there's gonna be a lot of guys. This is an odd draft because of how college football went this year. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of 4th and 5th round guys that's gonna perform better than 1st and 2nd round guys immediately, just because of the way the COVID season went. Mark my word.
I mean, if we're talking like filling that Alexander role, this is the year to do it. There's a ton of athletic linebackers who could rush the passer in this draft. So, and you could really realistically grab one in every round. Obviously, varying talent and, impact. But there's those types of players you could find in every round. And, we were talking about finding that kind of Swiss Army knife guy. A lot of people are looking at Hamza Naziruddin out of Florida State. He's 6'4", 230 pounds, extremely athletic. I wouldn't be against a guy like that. I think we're in a position, obviously he wouldn't be a first-round pick, but if you went after him as early as the 2nd round, that would make sense for me. The guy is very versatile, and there's a few players like that in this draft. I like Divine Diablo out of Virginia Tech. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, kind of the same type of player. He's an overgrown safety that can come in there and play and match up against tight ends and be impactful. So there's a lot of those types of players, that hybrid, safety / outside linebacker body types rolling around in this draft. And I'm sure, obviously, being in the team over there doing their homework to try to find one of these guys. But I think that would make a lot of sense in this draft. It's just me and you right now.
I left it to you by accident. Go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's all right. Yeah, like I said, if we're trying to find that guy, because our issue, even with Matt Milano, I think a lot of people think, oh, Matt Milano's back, we had that coverage linebacker. Matt Milano doesn't fare extremely well against very good tight ends. I'm not saying we're going to draft a kid in the third round. He's going to come in and shut out Travis Kelce. But having Matt Milano alone doesn't end the difficulties we've been having covering the tight end. So I think bringing in a hybrid safety to play that role is beneficial. But I also love the idea of bringing in a guy who could play off of Matt Milano, who's more of a pass rush specialist. So, like I said, keep him coming.
Right. So we'll take a couple questions. Like I said, I was actually trying to, before I left by accident, I'll put the thing at the invite in the chat again. If you guys would like to come on air with us, more than welcome to. Hop on in. The link is there. I just posted it. All you do is put that in on your phone or your computer and come on in, and we'll take your question live. But not, we'll take some of these questions out here too. Okay, yeah, McGarvey. Shout out to Cold Frame Report, always showing love. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it. Thank you. A guy Vic had a question for us. Now I'm not a draft guy, so I don't know who this guy. I've heard his name, but you guys probably have more insight. Do you see us maybe looking at a tight end in the draft? The hot tight end being talked about is Boston College's Hunter Long, 6'5", 253 pounds. This kid will be a great addition, he feels. Some have compared him to another Travis Kelce. Any thoughts? I mean, you're more of the draft guy, Greg, so I'll let you touch on that first.
I mean, Long is a very good tight end. He's got great hands. He can run routes. He's got a big body. He's athletic. He's not on the Travis Kelce, I can't think of it. Obviously, the premier, and then Pat Freiermuth would be maybe a late first round. Tremble looking around the third round. After me or
with Dawson Knox and Hollister, but I also wouldn't be upset if.
Dan, what you got, man?
We lost our punt return, and for the defense to do their thing.
Either out of a direction or completely. As far as Matt Hack, I think is going to be a little bit more consistent board because I think we fell in love with punting the ball like 35 times and he didn't have to.
Money there for a while. So I got a special love for special teams. Andre Roberts, the more and more I look at that situation, it's kind of fishy to me. When they cut him at the 53 last year, I may be wrong. I think it was probably an agreement like, hey, listen, you sign back with us for this lower deal. You go ahead and walk at the end of the year, go get your money. I think it was one of those type of deals like, hey, a gentleman's agreement. Like, hey, you come back and give us this year. We'll make sure we put you in position to go make more money after this year. And that's what happened. He signed that deal in Houston. I think that we can fill his role, return the punts with Isaiah Mckenzie. I think that's what he's primarily. That's going to be his role. The kick returners kind of worry me because I don't see Isaiah Mckenzie as a kick returner. But that's something that you can find in a receiver or a running back, in one of those speed guys or somebody that's just a natural returner in the mid rounds. You can't. And then the kick return is a little different now because most of them are touchbacks anyway. But I think we can replace that, but it does worry me a little bit because Andre Roberts was a huge, huge piece that people often took for granted. The punter situation, I think we'll be fine there. I think that may actually even be an upgrade because if you look at Corey Bojorquez last year, a lot of times we looked at, to pin him inside the 10, he would often kick it out the end zone. When you can see he wasn't happy with it. The teams could be kind of pissed about it where, hey, we need that ball at the 7-yard line, the 5-yard line. It's 3 yards deep in the end zone. That's a huge flip of the field. But we often get caught up looking at the boomers. He has some boomers, and we fall in love with that. But the directional kicking and pinning the defense back is a lot more important than what we really sometimes realize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about finding the replacement for Roberts. I think he went under the radar from a lot of fans and didn't really appreciate what he did for us this year. So I think I have to assume re-signing Mckenzie, they're going to have to kind of put him in that role a little bit, especially after what he did in the Miami game. He proved that he could play there. So I think putting him at punt returner makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, we're going to have to go out and get another guy to play that role. So I think in this crunch, in the roster crunch that we're in, putting Mckenzie at punt returner makes sense. I think we could find somebody in the draft, in the fifth round. There's a lot of speedy receivers that can come back and kick return for us. I think, honestly, coverage-wise, I think we're actually going to be better this year than we were last year. I think we're going to have more athletes on the team coming next year, so I think we're actually going to have a better coverage team. And that's hard to say because we were actually a pretty damn good special teams unit last year in terms of covering kicks and all that stuff. So I think we're going to be okay, and I think we all touched on it with Bojorquez. The guy punted us out of a lot of backed up situations and put some bombs out there and let our coverage guys run down and make plays. But when we needed the finesse kicks, when we needed to pin them back, he really wasn't there for that. And it is what it is, I think hopefully we can get that with the new guy, Hack, is it, or Hawk or whatever. But, I think we're actually going to be kind of upgrading in some areas, and it'll be a wait and see in others. I'm excited about Isaiah McKenzie in the punt return role. I like him back there. But, the kick return will be a question mark. But like James said, the amount of actual return kickoffs is low. So I don't think that's as valued as the punt returner.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, one of the biggest things with Andre Roberts, too, is like Mckenzie said on this interview today that one of the biggest things he's learned from Roberts was when to run out and when not to, decision-making, essentially. Mm-hmm. We saw in that 84-yard punt return against Miami for the touchdown in Week 17 with Mckenzie, that's what got him back as a returner. Because when we first signed him from Denver, that's what he was coming here to do. It was never jet sweeps and stuff. It was punt return, but then he fumbled a couple, muffed a couple, and he just wasn't effective. I think that this is his chance to stay with this team long term. Because when we talked about Isaiah McKenzie, he's definitely an upgrade from Roberts in the fact of you can use him on the offensive end at receiver, and you're not gonna miss anything. You're gonna gain. But in the punt return game and the kick return game, yeah, it's no guarantee you're going to gain anything from losing All-Pro. This is a 2-time All-Pro, back-to-back for us. 2-time Pro Bowler for us, back-to-back. So that's not something that's easily replaced. As far as Matt Hack goes, I think that this is a situation, like you said, yeah, Bojorquez bombed us out of some situations. That's what he was known for with his leg. But this team is planning to move the ball and move the ball very well. They're planning to be punting the ball from their own 40. They're not planning to be punting this ball from their 20-yard line. And they need some guy. Right. They need some guy who's going to pin this in there deep. This offense was unstoppable last year. So why would they be planning to punt the ball from their 10-yard line or their 20? Nah, now you're getting an angle punter. Matt Cat has been in the top 5 of punts punted inside the 20 percentage the last few years. So my only question though about that, and it's the only thing I question, huh? No, the only thing I question about
undercover good sign, and that I think we
yeah, it's a good signing. The only thing I question is how is he in weather though, because this is different from Miami to Buffalo, so we have to be careful of that too, a little bit. But other than that, I we'll take another question here.
Yeah,
Mike Nealon. Go ahead. I'm sorry, you got to add to it, James? Go ahead.
No, I just say that's something we got to see. With him coming over from Miami, we just got to see. I think they're pretty confident in him, and that's why they made that sign. Otherwise, they'd have stayed with Bojorquez. And let's not forget, y'all. Even if he's not punting too great, once again, our special teams unit is pretty special. Y'all better realize how good that boy Reggie Gilliam is on special teams. Yeah, that's the thing for him because he was my brother teammate in Toledo. But I told y'all he was a baller. I told y'all.
Did. He did. And, Reggie told me last year that he agreed to interview. He said he had agreed to interview in camp if he made the team. Hey, Reggie, I told you to make the team. Still waiting for the interview. I'm going to be hitting you up pretty soon. Still need it. Darren said accountability. I got to hold him accountable. So Mike Nealon asked, what do y'all think about grabbing a guy like Anthony Schwartz later in the draft? Our wide receivers lack deep speed, and we could use a guy for a deep ball on the third and long or fourth long situations. I think we've talked about this before. I think we're all in agreement that, yeah, we need speed. If you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to keep up some of these teams. We definitely need to add some speed to this roster. James, what do you think about a speedster? At what point in the round do you draft them? Is it first, second, third? Do you think medium? Where how far? Where do you think you draft one at? If you draft one at all?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to make sure it's the right fit, because what a lot of people do is they start overdrafting for speed. They get caught up on the speed thing, and just because somebody run a fast 40, they forget that the dude sucks at wide receiver, and they'll draft them and expect them to be this dude, Darius Hayward-Bay. Let's throw that one up there. The dude run a fast 40, and all of a sudden he gets drafted in the top 10. He was not good. He was projected a fourth-round pick for a reason. That 40 time is nice, but we can't get caught up in that. We want people who can catch the football, run routes, and get open. Let's not forget it's the NFL. People aren't just going to let you run by them. People fail to realize there's not many Tyreek Hills out here. People are not going to just let you run by them. And how teams are going to play the Bills due to really good route runners and a very strong arm quarterback, safeties are going to play deeper naturally. They're not going to want to get beat deep. So the likelihood of them just going to let you just line somebody up and just run by them is very, very slim, because they know Josh Allen has an extremely strong arm. So it's just not going to happen. So I think it's kind of overrated right now. Yes, do we need speed? Yes. But I think it's an overrated need with a lot of fans right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he asked about Anthony Schwartz from Auburn. The guy has got world-class speed. I mean, he ran for the Junior Olympics, broke the 100-meter record and stuff like that. So the guy is absolute, one of the fastest guys in the draft. And I think I saw it as pro day, or it was recorded in the 4.2 area for a 40 time. So if we're talking about speed, he's probably the fastest guy coming out. But, his production at Auburn wasn't great. He didn't really do a ton with that speed, so you could blame a little bit on the new quarterback they had in there, stuff like that. But there is a lot of guys like that we can look to get into the fifth round. There's Marquez Stevenson out of Houston, Jalen Darden out of North Texas, Daz Newsome out of University of North Carolina. A lot of those kind of guys that are extremely fast downfield type of guys that we can come in and grab in the fifth round, that we don't need to throw out there right away, that don't need to take on a large role right away. But Schwartz, he's a speedster. He's got a decent frame for the position, but he wasn't very productive. So that's a fear for me, that someone with that kind of world-class speed not being very productive, given it was the SEC, but still he should have been torching people, and it really wasn't overly productive for world-class speed. So I'm a little leery of him. If he's there in the fifth round, that's a great flyer. Anything earlier than that, I'm very nervous. But I think he will get drafted earlier than that because he has world-class speed.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want to make a... I don't want to just go make a draft pick and take what was the guy name we took over Russell Wilson? Graham? Was it Tim Graham? What was his name? It wasn't Tim Graham. What was the guy's name that we took? Yeah, Graham.
TJ Graham.
TJ Graham. I don't.
TJ Graham.
I don't. Yep, that's it. I don't want to take a TJ Graham. I mean, I don't think we need to just do that. But like I said, I would like to find our version of McCole Hardman somewhere in this draft. That, hey, you're going to have to watch this guy on this side field, but you're going to have to watch this guy too. And by the way, if we give him the ball, he could take it 80 yards on any play. I would like to add that to the team, because it adds another dimension that you have to coach for it. That, I mean, it's already going to be hell coaching against these route runners. It's going to be hell. Whether it's man, whether it's zone. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Emmanuel Sanders are not only man beaters, but they're also zone beaters. They're all flourishing in those categories. So it'll be interesting to see what we do here and what we do there. And I'm with James. Speed's a little overrated, but speed can be very dangerous if you coach it right. And to me, it seems like Dable evolved as a play caller this year. That was that step I've been waiting for him to take, and I think he took it to the point where I'm confident, and I'm not asking for him to get fired going to next season. It's the first time in 2 years. So
I look at it to hit it off quick again, we're not reliant on it. We don't need to bring in this guy, the speed guy, and say, save our offense, give us the deep ball, please. So I think if you brought somebody into the fold and used them sparingly and drew up some plays for them, I think it would work great, and I think the value is best for us. We have 2 5th-round picks, and I think it would be best there. And I think there's a lot of those guys in this draft to hit off in the 5th round.
Yeah. So we'll take one more question, and we'll get out of here. Go ahead, James. You got something? Okay. Magari02 on YouTube asked, "What do you guys thinking about Isaiah Hodgins? We are a bit smaller in the wide receiver room, and I don't think drafting a wide receiver has any impact right away next season. Sneaky red zone threat at 6'3". Greg, I'll let you go first. I know James got a lot to say about Isaiah Hodgins. That's his guy.
I'm high on this kid. I think he had, coming out in 2020, had probably the best hands in the draft. He's a natural catcher. He's got a great radius. He's tall. The only hang up on him is his speed. He ran in mid 4.6s, so he doesn't have great separation. But the kid has great body control, great footwork. He understands how to run his routes. He's going to give you the best of his ability, and he can catch anything. You're not going to see him, miss balls or drop the easy ones or lose focus. He's got great hands, and I think that's something this offense can use. Obviously, Dable's got to put the right personnel out there. We don't want to have our slowest 4 wide receivers out there at once, but I think if you are in a red zone situation or a move the chain situation, Isaiah Hodgins has a role to play. And I think if you go back to last year's camp, Hodgins was outperforming Gabe Davis to an extent last year during camp before he got hurt, and there was this weird kind of shutdown thing with him where he kind of got redshirted. So I think they're high on Hodgins, and so am I. I don't know if he's exactly going to be a dominant receiver. There's so much talent there, but I think he has a role to play in this offense, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, James, what you got, man?
He's gonna make the roster, man. He's gonna make the roster. My brother put me onto him last year. Well, was it? Yeah, when he was at Oregon State. My brother's like, man, he can ball. This dude can ball. I never knew about him, and just so happened, ironically, the Bills picked him. This dude can play, man. People don't realize it, but he can play. And like Greg said, he was outperforming Gabe Davis. He legitimately was outperforming him. This dude, he's a baller, and people are writing him off. And I think he's really a lock to make the roster. I think they're set at what they want to do at receiver. Give or take one of the spots for a rookie. I believe there's going to be a rookie going to get that other spot. And then, once again, we don't really have a red zone threat right now to go high point of football. I mean, obviously, Stephon Diggs is a baller. He can make plays. We know that. But that red zone high point threat, Gabe Davis, for him to be a bigger receiver, he's not that. He's not. I think Hodgins can be that. I think he can be that guy. And I think he does have a role. And I think he's going to be one of those guys on that 53-man roster. And I believe they redshirted him, and they did that with the intent to really get him ready and get him up to speed with certain things, set him out for the year. He had an injury, get his body right, fix some things. And then now this year coming in, he'll have a leg up. They didn't feel that he was probably ready to be thrown into the fire just yet. But I think he can play.
I'm still kind of skeptical on Hodges myself. I've seen the tape. I know he can high point. I know he can make physical catches. One of the things I worried about Gabe Davis is you didn't see that on film a lot from UCF. And obviously, when you look at Gabe and you see the size on paper, it's like, oh, this guy's big. He's 6'2", he's 6'3", 215, 220. Oh, he's going to make those tough physical catches. And he made development to that. Don't get me wrong. I think that's something he's going to work on. But when I think about it, I go back to the one ball he dropped early in the year. I forgot what team they were playing. He dropped in the back of the end zone. Then I go back to the Ravens game versus Marlon Humphrey on the slant route that he dropped. And as a bigger bodied receiver, you have to bring that ball in. So there was a couple balls that he dropped in, and I do believe the Bills do need a red zone threat. It can't always be Josh Allen time inside the red zone or some type of trick bootleg pass to the tight end wide open because touchdown Lee Smith is no longer here, right? That's where right? He's nobody there. He's no longer here for us. So, I will think he's going to make the team. I do. I just believe that we just need a speed dynamic. That's all. I just think we need a guy on this side. I don't care if it's picking up someone like a Marquise Goodwin, who's a veteran and played in Buffalo on a 1-year deal, that just say, hey, when he's out here, you have to play 20 yards back or he will go by you. That's all we need. It ain't even got to get the ball. Just that speed dynamic, though, because what's going to end up happening is if we do run out there with Sanders, Beasley, Diggs, and Davis, you're going to start seeing these defenses drop down a little bit. Now, mind you, you can catch them off guard, but Josh Allen didn't have to throw many deep balls last year. And the last time we did see Josh throw deep balls, he was 15%. I don't want to have to rely on that. That's all. This is not Pat. I don't want to say he's not Pat Mahomes, but I haven't seen that Pat Mahomes type-esque deep ball, if you want to call it that, at this point in time. So it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know, guys, man. I thought this was another great episode of the Yac Podcast. It felt good being back, hopping back on air, and really something that we'll make sure we get the audio of this out. But any final thoughts, James? I come to you first.
Draft is coming up. Draft ballers. We get position, draft dudes that can ball. Fill the team up with ballers. We're going to be all right. Don't jump out the window in free agency just signing dudes because of a name. I love what they're doing so far. Keep doing what we're doing. I think it's going to be a successful year.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this offseason, we've done well. We brought back all our players. We've got the guys that we need. We have all our glaring needs filled, and it's just time to upgrade. Where we see that need coming in, I think I know we opened up a little bit of money with Tre'Davious White, and I don't know if that was for something or just to have a little bit of extra money in case of something becomes available. But I'm assuming we're done spending right now, and we're going to look towards this draft. And I think we're in a great position just to upgrade, whether it be on the interior, whether it be a pass rusher, a cornerback, another receiver. I think we're just in such a great position right now. And that's a testament to Beane and what he's built here. So I think we're in a great spot to be. And I think as fans, for the first time in probably my lifetime, we could take a breath and say, I'm going to enjoy this draft because I'm not going to be disappointed unless they just wildly reach for somebody that doesn't make any sense, which I just don't see Beane doing. Other than that, I think we're all going to be happy with what comes at 30. Because any which position we get at 30 would make sense because we can just upgrade and add depth and add talent. So I'm excited, and I'm going to keep, doing my homework and looking at players and breaking them down and seeing who we get. So I don't want to be shocked come draft day, day 2, day 3, we get a name on the board. I don't want to be like, who is this guy? I want to know who we're getting. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it is such a relief to be able to go in here, and it is truly best player available. Milano's back, Darrell Williams is back. We have no glaring holes. Even if we came back with the same offensive line and the same defensive line, we're still talking Super Bowl possibly, and that's the benefit to where we're at and what we're doing and what we have here in place. We're still talking Super Bowl, even if we don't upgrade in some of these, but even if we don't add a speed receiver, we're still talking Super Bowl possibly. So it's a place that, like I said, since '93 we haven't been in this spot. So I'm definitely grateful. One of the biggest things I just want to take going forward is that as things are opening back up and the country's kind of somewhat getting back to some type of normalcy, still take care of yourself, still be safe out there. It seems like we'll all be able to come together for games and stuff this year. I was talking to Dan Gambino today about the Colts, and like we probably will start planning the next Mafia homecoming party that we had the other year. That was a great, all the super fans, everybody was there. CB Johnson, Donald Jones, Mark Easley, the guys were there. So we're gonna be planning that again coming up. So make sure you stay tuned for details of that. That's gonna be another epic event. And yeah, guys, I mean, everything's moving fast, right? Everything's moving fast. So as always, thanks for tuning in. I think Greg and the draft guys are going live tomorrow to break down some prospects. What position you guys on now, Greg?
We got receivers, which is conveniently enough, we've been talking a lot about that tonight. So it's going to be right up the alley. So definitely check us out tomorrow night, and we're going to be talking about a few guys that would be very intriguing for Buffalo to bring in. So,
all right, James, you got anything going on? How them UAS boys looking over there?
We went to Michigan a couple weeks ago. We did okay. We did solid. We didn't bring home the trophy like we wanted to. Okay. But want to wish all high school football open up this Saturday in Western New York because we didn't have a season in the fall. So now it's going to be opening up on Saturday. So wish all the athletes in Western New York good luck. Man, make every play count. And we got some high school football, y'all. Spring high school football.
That's it. And then Dan Gabino says in the chat, check out Colts and Buffalo and Wag. Got some new merchandise coming. If you guys ever see me wear the Buffalo by Nature shirt, Dan sent it to me. Got a lot of stuff coming out. So we'll be wearing some t-shirts on there. And as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is the Bills Yac Podcast. I am your host, JT. I got my co-host in the building, James Mallory, as we come NFL pedigree. Greg, the sports bully Boucher. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. Always giving his takes every day. But we'll be back maybe next week or sometime, We'll catch us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you can find us. Check out Colfin Report. Check out www.colfinreport.com. A lot of good articles coming out. We got the Bills Draft Checker going on by EJ Daniels. Greg just had an article come out about when will we reap the benefits of Ed Oliver. He had another article. What was the other article he came out with today, too?
Javonte Williams over Travis Etienne.
Yeah, possibly, yes. So make sure you get over to checking out that, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. We got a lot of stuff going on in Cold Front Report. We got a lot of new guys. Insight is the key. So, hey, guys, as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys later. Have a good night.